Hi there. So in this vlog, I'm wanting to discuss the point of fear, and not just any fear, but specifically how fear has many consequences to it. And here I'm talking about fears that a lot of us are going to be able to relate to, and I think it's actually like what comes to mind in terms of specific people that can relate to these types of fears is like women, and specifically like mothers. And the fears that I'm referring to is fears of loss and fear of things going wrong, like fear of losing money, fear of losing a job, or fear of certain plans not panning out or not playing out and kind of collapsing. So it's kind of a motherly type of fear because, when you're a mother and you have that whole kind of caring construct that starts up where you feel like you need to hold your reality in control, and you have to keep control of your reality because you have to take care of your children, and you have to make sure that everything goes according to plan and everything goes according to a certain plan to make sure that your children can survive and can live and can be happy and all of those things. So it's like you need to keep your reality in a certain order and in a certain structure to make sure that your family is provided for. And in a way, I've been dealing with those types of fears all throughout my life. Like, I'm not a mother, but I have that type of personality where I very easily go into those fears of failing, or fears of things going wrong, fears of loss, fears of losing things, fears of my reality in some way changing, fears of things not going according to plan, fears of things collapsing or somehow breaking down, fear of change, things like that. And what I've realized so far in terms of those types of fears is that what they do is they kind of limit not just yourself and your general expression and experience, but also your entire reality and everyone in it. So it's like the way that I've been living those fears has specifically been in terms of things that I, don't want to lose, like my relationship. It's mostly been in relation to my partner because, he has formed quite an important part of my reality that I value for a great deal. So I've gone into that pattern quite a few times of just fear of loss, fear of losing him, or fear of, for instance, lately it's been fear of him losing his job, because that would mean that we can't be together anymore because, I'm from Belgium and I'm in Canada now. We're living together, so he needs his job to kind of provide for us, to make sure that, I get to stay here. And, for me, I've been in this point of like kind of wanting things to work out, wanting things to go according to a certain plan so that everything works out, so that, we can build our life together, etc. So I've actually been in this fear of loss, fear of losing money, fear of him losing his job, fear of things changing, fear of things going wrong, fear of things failing and our plan not playing out. And I haven't actually been aware that I was in that fear until I started really like investigating things, because I was starting to really feel very like locked up inside of myself. Like I was starting to feel very burdened and very heavy and just like icky inside of myself. So then once I started digging into, okay, what the hell is going on here, I realized that all this time I've just been existing in that point of fear. I've just been like looking at my reality and interacting with my reality and my partner from the starting point of fear of loss, from all of those worries, those constant worries and fears and stresses about losing things, about losing money and stuff. And I haven't even been aware of it because it's like been on the background. It's been in the background the whole time. And so what I realized, that these fears and that, the fact that I've been allowing these fears to go on in the background, to exist in the background, what that has been creating is like a very constricted way of interacting with my reality, also with a constricted way of seeing my partner. Like, I realized that all this time, just because I've been afraid that he would lose his job, it's like I've already been, in a way, seeing him lose his job. Like, I've already been assuming that it's gonna happen. He's gonna lose his job for some reason. I've kind of almost been creating this perception of my partner that, he's going to somehow make a mistake, or, like creating this perception that I need to handle everything. I need to control things. I need to make sure that everything goes according to plan. And so my interaction with my partner has been very like rigid, because every time I talk to him, it's like I'm coming from that hidden point of fear inside of myself of, I need to make sure that he does everything that's necessary in order for him to keep his job, in order for things to stay the same. I need to manage him, and I need to control his behavior in a way. Like, I need to make sure that he does everything he needs to, so that everything goes according to plan. So within that starting point, I'm kind of already seeing my partner as, in a way, the bad guy. Like, he's just about to screw up any moment. Like, I need to manage this stuff. Like, I'm the one who needs to control everything and make sure that everything goes according to plan. So once I started opening up this whole point of fear with self-forgiveness specifically, like just applying self-forgiveness, like speaking it out loud to completely like disengage this whole point that's been building up, I could see the extent to which I've been placing this limitation and this diminishment on my entire reality, on my partner and on myself, because all I've been doing is looking at things from that one dimension of fear. All I've been doing is looking at everything and everyone in my reality through the eyes of fear, through the eyes of loss, through the eyes of, fear of mistakes, fear of things going wrong. So what happened is that all I could see was mistakes. All I could see was everything going wrong. All I could see was my fears. Like, I was already seeing shit going wrong. I was already seeing everything going haywire and nothing working out, and my fears, in other words, coming true. And, within that, I wasn't seeing my partner as the person, the individual that he actually really is. Like, I was seeing him as a lesser version of himself. I was seeing only the apparent mistakes, the apparent bad things that he's doing, or I was only seeing things according to my fears, which created, which diminished and limited everything about how I was seeing and experiencing myself and my reality and everyone in it. And I could only see and realize that that's what I was doing and that's what was going on once I was able to realize that this fear has been existing in me all along, because I simply was never aware of it. I was suppressing it, like it was going on in the background of my mind, this hidden personality of fear and worry and stress. So once I started applying self-forgiveness, it's like I could feel this heavy burden just being lifted off of my shoulders, like this huge stress just kind of lifting off of me, where I actually felt like crying, where you just feel that release, just from realizing what it does to you, what a simple point like fear does to you. So yeah, so that's basically what I wanted to share, because it's something that I'm very sure a lot of women primarily go through, especially women who have children or have a partner who recognize this pattern of like, it's like you want things to work out, you want your reality to be a certain way, you want to take care of your children, you want to have a life with your partner because you value these people in your life, so you want things to stay the same, or you want things to work out a certain way. But within all of that, you're not realizing that you're actually creating more problems because you're approaching your reality from that starting point of fear. And you're not seeing the actual influence that your fears have on your reality. You're not seeing how your fears are actually suppressing the potential that exists in yourself and in your partner and in your children, because all that you can see is your own fear. All that you can see is what your fear is showing you, which is all the things that are going wrong, all the mistakes that are being made, all the things that are not working out, all the things that need to be changed, or all the things that you need to manage and control and direct. So you're not actually seeing who your children or your partner or yourself really are. You're not seeing everything else about them. You're not seeing, because you're not giving yourself that kind of freedom to recognize these things, to see these things, because all that you care about is that fear. Because you've allowed that fear to completely overpower and overwhelm and overtake your entire mind, your entire reality, your entire way of perceiving and seeing reality and everyone and everything in it. And that fear, those type of fears, like fear of loss, seems very difficult to let go of, because it seems so real, because it's about survival, especially if you're a mother. The survival of your children, of your family, is the most important thing. So those type of fears seem very valid, very real. So it seems like I can't let go of these fears, like these fears are here to protect me. But what it's actually doing is like, it's like you're just creating limitations on yourself, on your reality. You're not expanding, like you're not allowing yourself to breathe. You're not allowing your reality to breathe. Like you're not allowing yourself to develop skills to deal with change, to be able to handle change. You're not allowing yourself to like grow and expand in different ways. Learn different abilities and skills to deal with certain situations, because you're keeping everything so rigid and confined and controlled, because you believe that that's how things need to be. But that's actually just your fear. That's just your fear, making you believe those things and making you see reality in that specific way. But then, the thing is that you won't actually realize that or see that unless you actually find a way to release the fear, to walk through it, unless you actually forgive it, forgive yourself for allowing yourself to give so much power to this fear, for allowing yourself to completely separate yourself from reality by being in constant fear. And, I think that point of releasing fear only works through self-forgiveness. I mean, self-forgiveness is what has assisted me to be able to see and realize these points and be able to release them and be able to, kind of give me the opportunity to realize my potential, to realize that things can be different. Because it's through self-forgiveness that you develop those kind of like insights and realizations and awareness of things. So I hope that, me sharing this point and me sharing kind of my process with it is of assistance and support for other people who are equally going through points like this. Because, I would want others to also realize, their potential, to also experience that kind of release of this type of stress that we tend to take for granted as, what I've been given the opportunity to experience. Thanks.